The weather warms, we open our windows, and we're greeted with dirt. For this reason and more, I was so excited to sit down with Becky, who you may know as Clean Mama, to talk about cleaning routines and, more specifically, spring cleaning. There is no better authority on this topic. Becky has authored 4 books, has her own line of cleaning products, and has helped countless women take control of their homes. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Welcome to Grandma's Silver, where tradition meets today. I'm Allie, your host and the founder of the Grand Millennial Lifestyle. Here, we blend aesthetics with nostalgia, engaging in conversations with lifestyle brands, designers, and more to rediscover the timeless charm of the past. Join me as we journey from home to heart, illuminating the past and polishing the present with the gleam of Grandma's Silver. Becky, I'm so excited to chat with you. Why don't you go ahead and dive right in and give people a little background on you and your brand?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. I started Clean Mama in 2009, and it was kind of at the dawn of blogs and, people were just kind of catching on to putting your own voice on the internet. And I started Clean Mama then as a way to share how I was cleaning my home. No one was doing it really that resonated with me. And I had been using a routine that I came up with for close to 10 years at that point. And I had shared it with my friends, my family, and I was like, I'm just going to start talking about it here. And I would type out and print my schedule. I would share that online, and then people were asking for it. I had to figure out how to share it. And then I started an Etsy shop in 2010, like in March of 2010. So really quickly, I was the first person to have these homekeeping PDFs on Etsy, which was, very different at that point. At that time, it's not anymore, but I just kept sharing my routine. I talked back then about how to clean your home with ingredients that you have at your home, like baking soda and vinegar and all that sort of thing. Came up with recipes for that, shared those recipes, shared how I was cleaning certain things. So fast forward, we're like 15 years later, pretty much, and I'm still sharing the same thing. I'm sharing my routine. I'm sharing DIY recipes. In that time period between 2009 and now, I've written 4 books. And I have Instagram and Facebook and all those things where I continue to share about how to clean your house simply with less ingredients and taking less time. And I really enjoy sharing that and helping people out and kind of simplifying the home care component, which I think we've complicated so much in the last, even 20 some years. We've just made it really, well, probably 50 years, but we've made it really complicated and much harder than it needs to be, adding lots of ingredients that don't need to be there and lots of products that all do the same thing. So
Yep.
I like to kind of keep it easy and simple and share that with whoever wants to listen.
I love it. And I have been, even before I was a homeowner, and it's so helpful because I do feel that, and this kind of ties into part of why I love to refer to, the grand millennial concept as more than a design aesthetic, is that I think a lot of us are kind of getting back to more old school or traditional methods of just living our lives and taking out some of that complication and just going back to simpler living and craving it, honestly. I have found your routines very helpful, your recipes for cleaning, I don't know if solutions is the right way to word it, but the way,
Yeah.
using very simple ingredients. That was helpful when I was on a budget. It was also helpful when I realized how toxic everything is in the environment and in our products. And it's also been helpful because now you can't even walk into a store anymore without there being a different product for every single thing. There's something for grout, there's something for tile, there's something for your toilet there, but like you said, like if you just use a little baking soda and vinegar, you're 95% of the way there. So it's really helpful to put all of the things that you have done together and then use some of those routines, craft your own. I just can say that I can attest to it being very helpful. So thank you.
Oh, thank
Because
you.
I really do
Love that.
appreciate it. Can we talk a little bit about the idea of just getting back to basics when it comes to your cleaning products?
Yeah, well, that started I guess it would be probably 2006 when I have three kids, and that my oldest was born in 2005. And so she was about a year old. And at that point, I had like my background was I was an art teacher. I would lean towards germaphobe if you, especially when you're working with 600 kids a week that
Yeah,
I mean,
sniffles, all the
yes,
things. Yeah.
all elementary age. I mean, I had like this bleach water solution that I would use on all the tables. I used like Lysol, like all the things to get my classroom clean.
Mm.
And I never really thought much of that other than this is what you use to clean. I even used to clean my colleagues' homes. After school, I would go in and rotate through the different. I had like four on my rotation. So it was like Monday through Thursday, and I would clean their homes for them. So I was using all of their products and testing things out and seeing what I liked. There was one teacher that used like vinegar and water. She wanted me to use vinegar and water to wash her floors. And I mean, she had like a completely different way of doing things than all the other teachers. And I noticed when I left her house, I didn't have a headache. But when I left the
Mm.
other teacher's house, I had a headache.
Yeah.
But going back to my oldest, she took, it was like this anywhere spray, and which was at that time supposed to be used on kids' high chairs and surfaces. They showed you like sprayed it on a kid's toy and then handing the toy back to them. It looked very safe.
Right. It's marketed, well, what they call it now, and I'm sure you know this term, but for those who don't,
Yeah.
greenwashing, essentially,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, selling you on the safe marketing.
Right. And
Yeah.
so she just took it and sprayed, like took the bottle off the counter or off of her high chair. I don't even remember where, but she sprayed it like on her neck. I didn't think a whole, like much of it, except for she had a couple like red dots. And then I like flipped the back of the bottle, which I had never really done before. And I read like in case of contact with skin, contact poison control, in case of
Oh my
ingestion,
gosh.
contact poison control. And I freaked out.
Yeah.
Contact poison. I mean, she was maybe a year.
And she had a visible reaction.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
amplifies the anxiety.
Right. So they were the poison control. I had to read everything to them, and they were like, well, you're going to need to give her milk and put her in a bath. And if nothing terrible happens in 24 hours, then she's probably in the clear. I mean, it was like, if this happens, bring her to the ER. If this happens, bring her to the ER. And I'm like, this is like a cleaning solution that is supposed to be used on high chairs and kids' toys. And now I have to contact poison control because she like sprayed one spray on her neck. It wasn't in her mouth. I don't know. So that was like the start of, okay, forget this. And I mean, I literally like threw everything out and started making my own things. And so that was 2006. I didn't start my blog till 2009. So at that point, I'm making different DIY solutions, trying things out, looking for things online, looking for things in books. I was not finding a lot there at that point. And that probably also kind of put planted the seed in my mind for the blog and like for sharing different things. But that was, that's where I started like really being like hyper focused on ingredients and side effects, like how you feel when you,
Toxicity, yeah.
yeah, all the things. And I mean, we've always had a dog. Now we have two dogs and three kids. I'm so thankful that I started looking at these things when she was little. And now we don't have any of the, nothing, there's nothing toxic in our home, which gives me a sense of relief. But I can also tell Like I used to love to walk down the aisle, like the cleaning solution aisles at stores because I love cleaning and I mean, I was the one that would be like, oh, stainless steel done. Oh, granite counters done. Like I wanted to try all the different solutions and see. That was kind of the way that I used to be.
Yeah.
Once I started to like make my own products, purchase things that were safe, I can't walk down the aisles anymore.
Same way. I know. I
And
get an
but
instant headache.
yeah, I can't even like I can even feel it like at a certain store in particular where I'm walking, not even down the aisle, but like in the proximity, passing the aisle, and I'll start to feel like a little like lightheaded, headache kind of a feeling without even stepping foot in that aisle. And I've never had a sensitivity before. I don't think I even probably have a sensitivity, but I'm just because I have not been exposed to that.
Your
Like,
awareness,
I'm
your awareness. Yeah, your
right,
body is just like, oh, we don't like that.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, yeah, so that was kind of, how that all started. My third book went into it's Clean Mama's Guide to a Healthy Home, and that went into all of like I talk about the greenwashing, I talk about what ingredients to avoid, I talk about what to look for, but that also was really helpful for me too, and just solidified my commitment to safe products.
Yeah.
So in turn, I had my Etsy shop, but then I started like an actual shop online and on my website. And that in 2015, I started adding actual like physical products, not just PDFs. And then in 2017, I started adding consumable goods that are all made in the US, have safe ingredients, like you can use them with your kids, but that also like you don't need 13 things to clean your house. They serve
Right.
a dual purpose. So my thinking is like for anyone that wants to make their own cleaners, I have tons of recipes for that. If you want to purchase something that's pre-made, I have that too. But I always want to make sure that everything is safe and natural and like you don't have to worry about it with your kids.
There's just so much in everything today, in any product, in any material. Like we are just bombarded with toxins everywhere. And this is a conversation I could go on and on about. That was something that I tried to do for myself for health reasons. I was noticing it actually started for me with candles. I was starting to develop like terrible migraine headaches from candles. And then I was looking into why is that happening? And then I was looking into hormone disruption and your cleaning products. And it's incredible. I would really challenge anybody who's listening who is using just all sorts of products, burning all the candles, doing all the things to even try a month of nothing toxic or, nothing that you can't pronounce the ingredients. See how it makes you feel and then how you feel when you reintroduce those other items back into your life. There's an awareness around it now. More people are talking about it.
Oh, 100%.
But I think a lot of people are still a little lost on what that looks like in their everyday lives. And so I think your book is a great resource for that, for anyone who is uncertain about next steps and how to make that change for themselves, even easing into that change. It doesn't have to be an overnight change.
Right. And you get to the point where you're like, okay, do I have to throw everything out?
Right.
Or can I, like kind of seeing that's overwhelming. And I think that then you kind of shut down just because it's too much and you're fine right now. So you're just going to keep doing whatever. Like that's kind of the mentality sometimes. And even if you just take a spray bottle, fill it with water, put a squirt of Castile soap or dish soap in it, and use that to clean your surfaces. In the meantime, while you're kind of investigating, that's going to clean just about anything just fine. And you can kind of go from there. That's kind of where I start. I mean, I have all sorts of DIY spray recipes, but you really can just do a little bit of dish soap or Castile soap, a little bit of water, put it in your spray bottle and clean those surfaces, and it's gonna, go further for you that way.
Absolutely. And isn't
Yeah.
it funny how much I have found when I use natural products, they do last a lot longer because I'm using a lot less because they are more effective, such
Yeah.
as bananas. But it gets me thinking. I like to reflect on the past. And I look at what our grandmothers, our great grandmothers were doing. I mean, they had access to bleach, sure, and they were doing a lot of things that we wouldn't do today.
Mhm.
But they were not just grabbing like a million different products. They were using a handful and learning how to use them in really innovative ways that were effective. So getting back to that, like we don't have to overcomplicate everything. Certain advances are great, but sometimes it's a little much. So
Yeah.
I think this is one of those areas where sometimes progress is like it's a little much. We can easily do the things we need to do with less in a much healthier, safer way. Going off of the past, one of the reasons, and this is almost embarrassing for me to admit, but I'll admit it anyway. So I was very like germaphobe my whole life, very type A as well, which is what a pleasant mix that is. But I was always someone who loves a list and a routine. I crave routine. And one of the ways that I found you was because I was trying to research like how, routines for housekeeping. I was looking at like 1950s and which is out of control. I don't have that kind of time, those routines. But I came across your routines. And so I think one of the things I would be interested to talk about is maybe a little bit about your routines that you've implemented, but then also how you differentiate them as we get into warmer weather. We are talking about spring cleaning today. So how does that practice for you differ from your everyday routines, your weekly routines? And then also, again, talking about that a little bit more, what areas of the house do you like to focus on? What do you think deserves the most attention or is worth doing that seasonal clean?
Yeah. So I mean, in full disclosure, my grandma is the one that did influence my routine, which I love because I can remember when my husband and I were first married, asking, her and I talked on the phone all the time, but I was like, how did you keep your house clean? Because she had they had like a little 2-bedroom house with 3 daughters, but she also worked outside of the home in the 50s, which was
That's
very,
unusual.
that's
Yeah.
unusual. And so I was curious, like how she kept her house clean. And
Right.
at that time, because my grandma was like fastidious, like super neat, super tidy. Everything was always clean. We just like to a T. And she cooked. And I mean, it was just like, wow, how did she do all of this stuff in
Yeah.
that teeny tiny house? But she said, well, you just need to decide on days of the week and do certain things on days of the week. And she was like, so one day I iron and one day I do that, so she was kind of going through how she did that. And I pretty much riffed off of that. And now I don't have an ironing day.
Yeah. You're not starching your
No,
your linens.
that's not me. But I kind of just went from there and decided what made sense for our home and for kind of how we did things. So that was how I came up with the routine is based on like kind of that more of a 1950s kind of style. And if you look back at like old vintage linens, a lot of times like the towels will say Monday is washing day or Tuesday, they
Mhm.
will say that. So it has kind of a riff on that just from that. But my routine has changed over the years. It was a little bit more complicated when it was just myself and my husband. I had more time. Then we added in 1 kid, 2 kids, and then the third. And he was born when I was doing Clean Mama. Plus, I was also had like 2 other jobs with that. And so that was like the busiest time. And that's when I made like the kind of the final changes. So that was like 2011, 2012. That's when those final, like, this is the routine. It's kind of set in stone. I always tell people to start with daily tasks because those are things that you can remember and you're going to repeat those every day to the best of your ability. You might not get to everything every day, but those daily tasks is kind of the foundation. And if you keep up with those, your home will be clean most of the time. So those are real simple, like make your bed. That's where I always say to start. Do a load of laundry if you have one. I can do 2 loads of laundry in a day, easy. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we have a lot of laundry in our house, but my kids do their own laundry too. And so does my husband. So I might like help facilitate switching, but everyone does
You're
fold and put
right.
away.
Keep it
Yeah.
moving. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone does fold and put away their own laundry. So we've got make beds, laundry, wipe the counters. So that's like making sure the kitchen's cleaned up, putting dishes in the dishwasher or washing them, and then wiping the counters down, checking the floors. That's like, do I need to vacuum? Do I need to sweep under the kitchen table? That sort of a thing. And then clutter. So every day we're putting things away, touching on like whether it's mail or toys or shoes or dirty socks or whatever it is, we're picking up things and putting them away. So those daily tasks just are every single day of the week. The weekly tasks are attached to days of the week. So Monday's bathrooms, because I want to have clean bathrooms for the week. And I hate that task. I hate doing bathrooms and kind of get it out of the way. Tuesday is dusting, Wednesday is vacuuming, Thursday is washing floors, Friday is a day to catch up, and then Saturday is sheets and towels. So that takes you through the week. It touches on most areas of your home. Once you have those two working well in your home, then I say I recommend adding in rotating tasks. Those are like the deep cleaning items. The last component is a monthly focus, and that's more organizing, like an organizational based part of the routine. Now, seasonal cleaning is historic. I mean, there's a lot of history behind it. There's a lot of reason why people would do spring cleaning or fall cleaning or winter cleaning. And a lot of times it would revolved around like wood burning stoves. You'd want to clean that out. You'd want to clean windows and window sashes, window treatments. I mean, the houses are different than they are now. We have like better air filtration in our homes now, so we're not needing to do like as much of a deep clean as
Right.
probably they used to be done. There's also like a religious component sometimes to spring cleaning, just from like different religions around the world, where that would be part of like a certain religious holiday. So there's a lot of like just history like kind of baked into spring cleaning. I love spring cleaning, and I do it mostly because I'm motivated to do it. I'm gonna like, once you open up your windows, and I live in the Midwest, so things are kind of shut down and closed November, December through March, April. I mean, we're closed up. When you open those windows, they're gross. Like,
It's disgusting. I know.
it's
We do the
disgusting.
same thing. The window tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, the window track. I mean, it's gross. So, okay, sure, I could leave that all summer long. I could close the window, close the window, open it, and I could look at that and be like, oh yeah, I should get to that. Or I could just take care of it in the spring when it makes sense to take care of it. And, that's just part of doing that. So spring cleaning types of tasks, I think, are perfect for March and April. I'm more of a March spring cleaner. That's when I like to do it. But I know some people don't even think about it until like April 15th. So, and they'd rather spring clean in May, whatever.
Right.
But I think having a handful of tasks that you can check off on your spring cleaning list, things that make sense for your home, enjoy your home for the summer, get that extra dust and dirt out of your home. It's more healthy for you to remove those. I mean, toxins like quote unquote, ride on dust. So if it's good to remove dust from your home, it's good to vacuum, it's good to, get cobwebs out of corners. It's good. Those things are all like,
They're healthy. They're healthy.
yeah. If you're not hating on the chores or on the tasks, like you could actually enjoy it if you schedule it in a way that makes sense for you. If you get your supplies together ahead of time so that you aren't like searching for things or wasting time. Just put your spring cleaning supplies in a caddy, and every day for a week or for a month or whatever you want to do, take it out, spend a couple minutes every day doing something on your spring cleaning list.
Mhm.
And, you'll eventually have those things spring cleaned and you'll feel better about it and your home will appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that you didn't consolidate it all into a day just then,
Oh,
because I think that is sometimes where, if you are someone who is looking online and looking for advice, it's often consolidated into the spring cleaning day. And here's how to, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., organize it all. And not only will you lose momentum, but that sounds absolutely miserable.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know about anybody else. To break it up into small, manageable tasks is always, in almost any situation or any goal you are trying to accomplish, the most productive way to actually ensure that it happens. So I like that you are suggesting to pick and choose and figure out how long it takes what it takes, right?
right,
I
right.
mean, when you get it done, you get it done. And to just break it up how you need to.
I've always had people that say like, I've never cleaned my baseboards. I've never cleaned a window track. I've never like if that's you and you're like, I want to spring clean this year, it's gonna take you a bit. It's not gonna
Right.
be like do and it's done. It's gonna take you a little bit because you want to do it right and you want to do it well and you don't want to be looking at that, in a month down the road and thinking I should have actually done that the right way or a better way or finish that task. I have spring cleaning checklists on my website on the free guides page, and you can do the entire thing and be like, oh my gosh, my home is totally spring cleaned. Or you could say, you know what, my windows need to be cleaned and my carpets really need to be cleaned. I'm going to do those two things this year. That's going to be my spring cleaning. Those are things you could hire out if you wanted to. You
Mhm.
could DIY them. Whatever it is, make it work for you. And I will wash the inside of my windows, but I will hire out the outside because I mean, I can't get out on the roof and do some of the windows. I mean, it's
Right.
just not, I can fold my windows in and do them, but they never look as good when I do it is when I hire someone to do that. So take the help when you can, when you're able to, and do what works for you in your schedule. No one says you have to spring clean. It is a really good opportunity to try those DIY cleaners, though, because you're not necessarily like trying to remove germs. If you're spring cleaning, you're just cleaning. So I always think it's a nice time to just say, like, oh, I'm going to try out this DIY window cleaner or glass cleaner and see what I think because it'll
Mhm.
surprise you just how well those work. 5 cents maybe for a bottle. You'll
Right.
save some money too. It's a good way to segue into just giving those DIYs a chance.
Going back to the window tracks and also going back to something else you mentioned that I wanted to highlight. When I first bought my home, there were a few years went by where we did certain things for spring cleaning, but our focus was really on just like still setting up house, really.
Mhm.
And doing like carpets and the more obvious things. But when I started to really in later years look around and try and figure out the areas that were a little neglected, that weren't getting routine maintenance, the window tracks were one of them. As you mentioned, disgusting. I mean, you get like little bugs in there. I mean, it happens. Everyone has the same problem. You pointed out that it won't be a quick task. And I think that that was something that I naively underestimated
Mhm.
because if you aren't regularly maintaining it or even annually, it does need that initial like elbow grease. It takes a little longer to clean those things. And that could be applied to any area of your home that you're not just really taking care of. I mean, even if you're not someone who's pulling your refrigerator out seasonally and getting behind the fridge, like you will have obviously more dust accumulation. There might be marks on the floor. So it becomes a bigger task than if you were just taking care of it regularly. And it's understandable if you can't because life. But thank you for pointing that out. And I also wanted to say the thing was with the window tracks too, almost nothing was cleaning them, but when I poured baking soda and vinegar on there and I let it sit for a little while, it was like magic. So I can attest to that. It was wonderful. It worked
You
very,
didn't have
very
like
well.
little volcanoes in there, like.
Oh, well, I mean, I did little tiny amounts,
Yeah.
little just to get it bubbling and
Yeah.
sitting and soaking. But it was fun to watch it sizzle.
Yeah.
You never really outgrow your science projects.
Right,
So
right.
now I do want to also go backwards here for a second because you mentioned that when you were curating your routines, you had to constantly tweak them. And then ultimately when your family, you finished having children and like your family was kind of full, you felt like, okay, we really have this where we need it. But could
Mhm.
you talk us through and how folks might, or maybe lessons you learned as you were experiencing these different life transitions? Because I know that it's just my husband and I and a dog, and we want kids, but we don't have them yet. And so I know, I mean, I'm not naive to think that our routines won't need to change. There will be different things going on in our lives, but it's also hard to understand or to fully comprehend what that looks like until you're living it. So, as someone who was constantly tweaking her routine, could you talk us through maybe what some of those things were that you had to change?
Yeah. So the routine as it is like the most flexible format that I had. So before I did not have like that catch all day on Friday. There was no room for someone getting sick, not feeling like cleaning, like just like or being gone or like it and it was much more regimented where I felt like I had to like I couldn't necessarily go to bed unless I had done XYZ. I took that part out of it, and that came from just realizing when you have kids and young kids, there's sleep deprivation, there's they're napping. You can't like I would vacuum when my kids were napping because I wanted them to be able to like sleep through anything, which is
Right.
a recommendation. But I don't always recommend taking like the time that they're napping to clean. But
Mhm.
when they're tiny and they take 2 or 3, 4 naps, I would usually use one of those nap times to clean and then the other to do other things, whether I was cooking or relaxing or whatever. Or when my youngest or my oldest, I was working. So I wasn't
Yeah.
even home during the
Yeah.
day. So I was like outside of the home and then would get home and I never got to take advantage of nap times with her until weekends. So I think that just realizing like if something don't keep pushing something if it does not work.
Mhm.
I mean, the difference between laziness and not being motivated. I mean, there's a difference between those things. Like if you're just like, I just don't feel like doing this today and I don't care, like I mean, that's fine. You don't have to care about it. But if it's something that you want to do, the framework is there. Go ahead and do it. If you are like, I'm not doing anything all week, well, I mean, sometimes you kind of have to like pick yourself up and say, all right, I need to, if it's just you, like that's one thing. But if there are other people involved, then, someone needs clean clothes, the kitchen needs to be cleaned up. I mean, there's things that you do as an adult because you're an adult. And
Right.
if you're struggling to get to that point, there are people that can help you with that. But I think that I mean, that was just kind of where I landed with the routine is just giving myself more flexibility and more room for things that would happen. And instead of having to catch up, like I have that day built in if I need it, but I don't always get to catch up. So if I'm not able to catch up, you just start the next week. So if I don't clean bathrooms and I don't have time during the week to catch up on bathrooms, I do them the next Monday on bathrooms day. I mean, it is what it is. I also think of giving yourself a little bit of room to tweak it. So you want to clean bathrooms on Mondays, you don't have time, but do you have time to clean toilets? Okay, so I'm going to clean toilets instead of doing the full bathroom. And then next week maybe I'll do counters or maybe I'll do the whole bathroom. Like there's ways that you can break things up. There's ways that you can make it easier on yourself. If you are struggling, you have a lot of clutter or can't find your way to start a routine, start with making your bed every day and doing a little bit of decluttering. Set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes every day and start going through things. When the timer goes off, just stop and start it again the next day so that you're not. I feel like if it's one thing to go all in on something and like really want to take on something, but sometimes if we go all in too hard, like
Right.
you lose your momentum and then it kind of just
Drains you.
it drains you, right?
Yeah.
And so if someone says to me like, "Oh, I'm gonna come up with a routine. I'm gonna like figure out exactly what I need to do every single day for the year," and that's great, but you're gonna be better off if you follow I mean, I would say my routine, but you follow a routine and then you tweak it for yourself as you see fit. Because
Mhm.
if you, most people, if they spend the time that it takes to create a routine for the whole year, your home, you're going to kind of burn out probably, 30 minutes in because your eyes will glaze over and it's like, oh my gosh, what did I think I could do here? It's a lot. It is,
Yeah.
there's a lot to factor in and there's a lot to come up with to get to that point. That's always my recommendation is like start with something, tweak it, make it flexible for your needs and for your home because every home is different too. In addition to every person being different, whoever, like the amount of people that live in the home, the size of the home. I mean, there are a lot of factors, but the way that my routine is set up is so that it doesn't really matter how many bedrooms you have or how many bathrooms you have or how many square feet your house is. It's flexible. Here's your foundation and just start rather than wasting all that time and energy trying to figure it out. Um,
Hmm.
that's kind of exhausting.
Agreed. And I've been there. I've been the person who has just tried to be hyper organized to the point that it's like if I had just used this time to clean a room, I would have at least have started.
Yeah, yeah,
But the way that you have managed to break things down is very approachable and manageable. It's doable, it's not overwhelming. And as somebody who has looked at probably every routine under the sun and not even tried all of them, because sometimes you're just like, this is super not doable. It sounds great, but like, there's no way to be able to look at those routines and say, this sounds almost too easy, right? Oh, I just have to do it this way, but it works because it's easy and it does keep you, it's easy to remember. You don't have to think about it or refer to even a notebook or, it's just once you get the hang of it and start assigning your days the way that your program, for lack of your routines,
yeah.
break down, it is really doable, which I appreciate. The one thing I did want to ask you is some of those larger tasks, again, maybe that we're only attacking seasonally, once a quarter even. Sometimes for people who don't routinely do it or they avoid it because it's really challenging, do you have any tips and tricks for some of those bigger cleaning things that need to be cleaned? So window tracks, like you mentioned, I'm thinking even as I look up, my ceiling fan blades need to be cleaned soon. And that was one I highly underestimated because, again, being a new homeowner, I didn't give it any thought. I thought I'd be able to squeeze it into a day with all these other spring cleaning tasks. That took my whole day. For people who are kind of coming across these tasks, not knowing how to approach them, or if you've figured out ways to just like simplify these things to give other people the leg up, do you have any recommendations for some of those items?
Yeah, so like I said, I have those rotating tasks and those rotate through the year. Some of them are monthly, like I always have on there to wipe down the appliance fronts. That's a once a month kind of a job. Baseboards, I'm pretty much doing every month because by either vacuuming them or washing them, that keeps them clean. And that's one of those, that's more of my personal preference. Like I love a clean baseboard. I think it
Yeah.
really helps. And but I always say to attach them to a task that makes sense. So if it's Wednesday and it's vacuuming day and vacuuming baseboards is on the rotating task for the month, then I'm going to do that on a Wednesday because I already have my vacuum cleaner out. I'm already at that level. I'm probably looking at the baseboards anyways as I'm vacuuming. I can catch those while I'm vacuuming. Washing the baseboards would be the same thing. I would do that on Thursday because it's floor washing day. Now, I'm not doing that 4 times a month every week. I'm
Right.
splitting that up. So you could split it up for one every week for the whole month. You could, if you have 8 rooms in your house, you could do 2 rooms a week. and do vacuuming them on Wednesdays every Wednesday for that month, wash them on Wednesdays every Thursday. If you mean that would be like the ultimate way to split it up. You could do, I'm more of a, I would rather do this in one day kind of a thing. So you could do that just all on one day. You could split it into 2 weeks and have one week and one the next. One level of your home, 1 week, one level the next. I just tried to figure out what they will attach best to. If they don't attach to something, I will usually do those on a Friday for catch all day. So instead of catching up on something, I will do one of those rotating tasks or two of those and kind of knock those out on Fridays. If you are like a weekend warrior kind of a cleaner, instead of like Sunday, I just say to do the daily tasks. You could use your Sunday as a day to do like those bigger items. You might have other people around that could help you. But that's my best tip, is to just attach it to what it makes sense with. And yeah, I think that that's the best way to do that. If you are totally unmotivated to do those tasks, figure out a way that you can kind of zone out while you're doing them, whether you're listening to a podcast, listening to a playlist, calling someone and talking on the phone, putting in a movie, like whatever it is, so that you are kind of like tuned out to the activity and just doing it. I think that, I mean, for me, that's how I get the most done is not by trying to not pay attention to what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. I need distraction. I tend to be, especially when I'm folding laundry, for me, that's one where I can stand there and do it, but it is way more pleasant if I have a podcast playing or a show on my tablet or something just to get me through. So yeah, I can relate to that big time. The last thing that I sort of wanted to talk about is you mentioned some of your books. So do you want to just give people a little breakdown of what your different books are, who might be best, reading which one, and talking through that a little bit?
Like I said, I wrote 4 books. The first one is called The Organically Clean Home. That one came out in 2013. So that's the oldest of my books. That has just DIY recipes in it. At the back, there's like a glimpse of the routine, but that is before it was actually finalized to what it is now. But it's in there. There's some tips and tricks, but it's 150 DIY recipes. The second book I wrote is Simply Clean. That goes into detail about the routine. There's some DIY recipes. I think there's 50 in that one. And then it also talks through like some challenges. Like there's like a 7-day quick start. There's like a 28-day whole home like cleaning challenge. And then my third book is Clean Mama's Guide to a Healthy Home. And that's all about looking for less toxic products in your home, safe ingredients. That has a handful of DIY recipes as well. My last one is Clean Mama's Guide to a Peaceful Home. And that one is more about attaching tasks that you don't want to do to tasks that you do want to do and making your home cozy. And it's more about like the ambiance of the home. That one's probably my favorite. If I had to choose, if you only want DIY recipes, the first one is going to be your, the one with the most recipes in it. Simply Clean is great for the routine. There are some things that I have tweaked since I wrote that. That came out in, I think, 2017. The Organically Clean Home, the Healthy Home came out in 2019. And that's designed to take the overwhelm out of looking for what's safe and what's not safe and kind of figuring that out. I took the work for you.
Right.
And then Peaceful Home was 2020. It'll still talk about safe products, but it's going to be more like homekeeping, more of a homekeeping vibe.
This was so helpful. Thank you. Is there anything else that you wanted to share or that you're excited about in the future or that you want people to know about you? I will mention that in our show notes on the podcast, we will put links to all of your books, your website. People will be able to find you online, Instagram, all of that good stuff. Just make it nice and easy. But was there anything that you wanted to share before we part ways?
What I would like to leave you with is it doesn't have to be difficult. Like, don't make it complicated. I'm always here to help people distill down and make things as simple as possible and quick and easy, because I don't think you should be wasting time cleaning.
Agree. I love it. Well, thanks for making it easy for us. Again, I can attest, I have followed your routines. I still follow your routines. I've tweaked them a bit, but they really do work. And it is also so nice to be able to pair that with the sustainability piece and knowing that I don't have to put a bunch of terrible ingredients in my home in order to keep it clean and happy and healthy. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. And I really thank you for being here with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.